Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my Bulldogs round 2 review against the Broncos. I wanted to do one of these last week, but just because of work and just other things going on, I just did not have the time or couldn't find the time to make it. But I'm hoping to make these, every week because as a Bulldogs fan, I like to just vent a bit, So yeah, let's vent. All right. So overall, the game, I think we played pretty solid. Based on the stats, we actually dominated the game. Like, I got the stats here next to me. They'll probably be on the screen somewhere. But yeah, based on the stats, we dominated the game. Like, we genuinely did. But, the thing that's always fucked us is our attack. And it's bitten us again. Like, we had 59% possession, nearly 100 more runs, like 600 more meters. By all accounts, we should have won this game. But our attack just isn't strong enough. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. All right? I think structurally, like our team now, Barrett has put in some good structures in place to run plays off the back of, but we still just don't have the quality to execute them. Right? And not only we don't have the quality, but it's weird because like our backs are good enough. Our backs are very strong. Our full pack is very strong, but they just don't click as a team for some reason. It boggles my mind. I just don't get it. Like, you watch the game and it's just so infuriating because the ball will get to Averillo or Burton and the people outside them are just either out of position or they're too slow or, just something's happened out wide where every single time they've had to throw in a dummy and go themselves. Pretty much every single time. Like, you saw it constantly. Right? And it's just infuriating because then, all the blame gets thrown on Averillo, especially, Burton won't get any blame thrown on him because he's the golden child of the Bulldogs at the moment, which, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player, but there were times in that game where if all he did was shift the ball out wide, there was an opportunity, but he threw the dummy and took it himself. Right? So Burton is to blame as well, not just Averillo. Right? Albeit what everyone else says, where it's like, oh no, Averillo's got to get dropped. He's not good enough. No, Burton fucked up too many times, right? Just like Averillo did. But they're young halves. That's gonna happen. Right? So I'm not gonna sit here and crack the shits at them for it. Right? But what I will crack the shits at is the people around them. Right? Like there was one play near the end of that game where we had them on the back. I can't remember what it was. There was like a line break or something. We got a quick play of the ball. Averillo is the first receiver screaming for the ball. He is screaming for it. Like he has like a 4-on-2 out wide, a 3-on-2, whatever it is, out wide. He's in first receiver ready to go. What happens? Paul Vaughan fucking shoves his head in the way and it causes Biondioto's pass to go to whoop whoop. Right? Because Vaughan got in the way, and you could see it, like, just visually. Averillo, he threw his hands up, he threw his hands down. He's got the shits because Vaughan's just fucking stuck his head where it doesn't belong, right? And I think that's the problem, is our forwards are too involved. It needs to get to a point where it's just give the ball to Averillo, who can give it to Burton, who can give it to our backs. Or give the ball to Burton, who can give it to Averillo, who can give it to our backs. Right? But in pretty much every single one of our plays, a forward for some reason has to be involved, and it fucks us. It slows us down way too much. Like, that Vaughan one is just a perfect example of it. But if you were to go back and watch the game, there are dozens of examples where we could have had a backline movement set ready to go, and a forward would just plop their head in the way and just get in the way and slow it all down. Right? So that pisses me off. So yeah, our attack, it needs work. We need to get to a point where our forwards just get out of the way and let the backs do their thing. Until we do that, we will continue to struggle. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter who we put in the halves. If the halves aren't getting the ball at first and second receiver, if they're constantly having to wait, then they're not going to be able to do anything because by the time they finally get the ball, the defense is all raced up. Anything we had on is now dead. Right? So yeah, that annoys me, Burton and Averillo, like especially Averillo, he cops a lot of flack. Everyone's saying like, oh, drop him, he's not good enough, rah, 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 rah. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a halfback. I think he should be playing fullback, but that's something I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, like, Averillo is not to blame, neither is Burton. Right? Our forwards just get in the way. Right? And with that said, one forward I want to talk about is Jackson. Josh Jackson. I love Josh Jackson, fantastic player. I said this in the preseason one as well, but He's not a lock, man. Like, when he gets the ball and he just fucking runs hard, runs forward, he gets a quick play of the ball, we go off the back of it. You know, that's what he does. He's a second rower. That's what he does. It's what he's done for years. It's what he's best at. Why we're playing him at lock, I don't know. He slows everything down. Right? Like, you know, when he tries to shift the ball on, he's just way too slow. The lighting is actually terrible. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Okay. But yeah, you know, he's way too slow with the ball in his hands when he's trying to pass the ball on to the left or right, you know, whatever. He's not a link man. He's not a lock. So the fact that we keep persisting with him there is mind-boggling and infuriating. Right? It's just stupid. Alright? You'll probably see on the screen right now there's like a list of just like notes I took during the game of things that sort of pissed me off. Alright? Alright, one player I want to talk about, I know a lot of Bulldogs players have been talking about him. Ockenbaugh. Look, he's not first grade material. Right? He's just not. He's not, especially on the wing. He's not quick enough. He doesn't have the positioning. He doesn't have, you know, the speed. He's just not good enough to be a first grade winger. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like put him down in the resis, train him to be. I reckon he'd be a really good second rower. You know, like just he's got the size. If he puts on maybe 5 kilo of mass and becomes a bit bulkier, he could be a fantastic second rower. Right? But he's not a winger. I wouldn't even put him at centre because he hasn't really got a passing game, so I wouldn't put him at centre either. But yeah, so in my opinion, Ockenbaugh, just not first grade material. Just personally, I just want to get that out there straight away. All right. And so, you know, me personally, I want to see him dropped. And what I want to see happen is I want to see Naden put on the wing. And the reason I want Naden put on the wing is because we have one of the best, if not the best wingers in the competition in Addo-Carr outside Naden. Addo-Carr doesn't touch the ball because Naden refuses to pass him the ball. There were so many times where Naden, all he had to do was catch it, run 2-3 steps, pass. You know, and Addo-Carr can try and work something. You know, he can beat his man or two, you know, try and work something. What does Naden do? Throws a dummy, runs himself. It got to a point at the end of the game, if you go back and watch it, the final like 5-10 minutes of the game, Addo-Carr shoved Naden out onto the wing and Addo-Carr put himself at centre so he could actually get the ball. Right? So, yeah, like, Naden needs to go to the wing. You know, Naden's a good winger. He showed at Penrith he's a very good winger. So I would put Naden on the wing and I would bring Shop back in to centre. You know, Shop was one of our best players last year. He doesn't deserve to have been dropped. I also don't think Braden Burns has done anything wrong at the moment to deserve getting dropped, so I wouldn't drop him either. I'd keep Braden Burns on, and then I would move Naden onto the wing, I'd drop Ockenbaugh, and Shop would come in at centre. For me personally, that's what I'd love to see. That's what I think needs to happen. Right? Because, yeah, Naden is wasting Addo-Carr outside him. Like, you know, Addo-Carr just doesn't get the ball in attacking positions. And, you know, what Addo-Carr's best at is getting the ball in that attacking position, using his speed on the outside to beat that, like, you know, sliding defense, and then he can create a 2-on-1 with the fullback. That's what he does. That's what he did at, that's what he did at Melbourne for years. But does he do it for the Bulldogs? No, because he never gets the ball because Naden doesn't pass to him. All right. What else can we talk about? Okay. I'll just quickly get this one out of the way. Corey Waddell. Personally, I don't rate him. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he had a decent game yesterday, but I would much rather see Faitala Mariner back in the squad. Just personally, I really like Faitala Mariner. He was one of our best players when we were struggling. So I'd really like to see him back in. And yeah, I think if anyone is to get dropped, it would be Waddell. But yeah, I'm not sold on him personally. That's just the personal one for me. You know, played decent yesterday. I'm not going to say he played badly, but yeah, for me, Waddell, I'm 50-50 on. I would rather have Faitala Mariner. You know, maybe some people agree, maybe people disagree. I don't know. But yeah, that's just my take on Waddell. All right. What else? All right. Let's talk positives. Tavita Pangai Jr. at front row, solid. All right, because what it does is it sort of forces him to control his aggression. It sounds weird, but it sort of forces him to control his aggression a bit because he's too tired. You know, like when he's out at second row, when he gets to sort of pick and choose when he runs, he's always got that sort of built-up aggression, built-up anger. When he's in the front row and he's constantly tackling, constantly having to take hit-ups, you know, it tires him out, so he's not going to be as aggressive. Right? And then he can sort of control it a bit better. So I think Tavita Pangai Jr. at front row is actually really good. I really like the move. Same as Jack Hetherington at second row. I think that's been a really good move for Hetherington. The one thing I wish that would happen with Hetherington, though, is I wish he'd get the ball a bit more. Because every time he got the ball, like when I'm recording this on Monday, so every time he got the ball yesterday, he looked dangerous. Like, he was creating space, he was getting his arm free for offloads, he was doing all this, all that. He was looking dangerous, but, he just wasn't getting the ball enough in those sort of positions. All right. Oh, what else can we talk about? Yeah, I've already talked about Ockenbaugh, how he's just upset me to no end. Like, he's just not a first grader. Jacko, like I said, not a lock. He's a second rower. I don't know who we'd bring into that lock role, but Jacko has to go out to second row. He can't play lock. He just can't. In my opinion, at least, he just can't do it. Okay. One player I want to talk about, Matt Duffy. Now, this is nothing against Duffy personally, but playing him in this team is pointless. And the reason it's pointless is because he's on a 1-year contract. Right? Like, look, based on round 1 and round 2, I think it's blatantly obvious Bulldogs are not making the top 8. Right? I think that's pretty obvious for everyone. Our attack isn't good enough. We don't have the players. Right? I think that's just a fact. Right? I think everyone sort of understood that. Everyone figured that out at this point. Even the people that were like saying, no, they'll make top 8, blah, blah. Even they've probably turned around and said, yeah, look, probably not. Right? So, playing Matt Duffy, unless we plan on renewing his contract and extending it for an extra 2 years or so, there is no point for Duffy to be playing in this team, because all it's going to do is take us a step back. Because let's say Duffy has a decent year this year, right? Let's say Duffy has a decent year. We offer him a contract for him to stay, but someone else, another team, offers him a better contract and he leaves. Right? Let's just say that happens. Now we're stuck without a fullback, and on top of being stuck without a fullback, we now have to bleed in someone into this system, and we're essentially starting from square one again. Right? So, this is just my problem with 1-year contracts in general. I have the same problem with Paul Vaughan. Like, I think a 1-year contract for Paul Vaughan's pointless. Should be 2 or 3 minimum if you want to keep him. Me personally, I don't want to keep him personally. But, obviously we've got him. So if you're gonna sign them to a 2 or 3 year deal, so you can at least build with them. Like, build into something with them, Like, if they're gone after 1 year, then it's pointless. Right? So with Duffy, fullback is a key position. So if we lose him at the end of this year, if he goes somewhere else, if he doesn't sign a contract, whatever, we're back at square one where we have to now bleed in another fullback and train them. Right? So me personally, what I would love to see is Averillo get put into fullback. I think Averillo will be a really good fullback, right? Because you can see it when he's playing in the halves. He wants to run. He wants to get the ball out wide on that looping run, get it out wide and set up those 3-on-2s and taking himself stuff like that, right? He would be a fantastic fullback once he gets a bit of experience back there. And that's what this year could be for him. This year could be that year of experience where he just builds and builds and builds at fullback, to then next year where we can really sort of go for it once we bring in like Reed Marnie and sort of like set our spine in stone a bit more. Right? So yeah, Duffy, I think, nothing against him personally, decent player. I don't think he's going to set the world on fire this year. I'm not going to pretend and say he's going to be a superstar for us or anything like that, because I just don't think that'll be the case. But, decent player, nothing against him personally. It's just, if we only have him for a 1-year contract, in my opinion, there's no point in playing him, because we aren't going to be competing for a grand final. So there's no point. Like, if we were competing for the top 8, top 4, and we were genuinely competing for a grand final, then yeah, by all means, have that 1-year contract on a good player that can sort of help finalise the thing. By all means. But we aren't at that stage, so it's pointless. Right? So, again, nothing against Duffy, but yeah, I personally wouldn't mind to see him get dropped, Averillo get moved into fullback, and then maybe Kyle Flanagan comes in at 7. Right? I wouldn't, because by the looks of it, by the way we're playing, the way our halfback is playing at the moment, they're just a pair of hands to pass the ball to Burton or to pass the ball to someone else. Right? So Flanagan could do that job. No offense to Averillo, but Flanagan has a better kicking game than Averillo, so that would give us more options than just Burton's bombs. Right? So Averillo a fullback, let him learn that. You'd have Burton at 5'8", you'd have Kyle Flanagan at halfback. I wouldn't mind seeing that personally. But again, that's just my opinion. And yeah, again, nothing against Dufty. You know, good player, nothing wrong with him. But yeah, that's just what I personally would like to see. All right, I think really that's all. You know, Broncos played all right. You know, they weren't really great. You know, if we are to just like quickly talk about last week as well, you know, we beat a really poor Cowboys side. You know, obviously the Cowboys came out this week and pumped, who was it, the Raiders. You know, Raiders obviously didn't play well, but, you know, it shows that we got lucky against the Cowboys, right? So, you know, like, this is going to be another tough year where we're going to be finishing in, like, yeah, like the 13th, 14th, 15th range. I don't think we'll get the spoon, because I do think there are teams out there that will probably struggle a bit more than us. But yeah, I don't think we'll get the spoon. I'm hoping we don't get the spoon at the very least. But yeah, like, yeah, you know, we're not going to be competing for the top 8. So anyone that thought we were, you know, pull your head in, realize that we're still in the rebuilding phase. You know, stop carrying on saying like, oh, this person needs to do this person needs to do that. If we're going to make top 8, you know, it's like, you know, we're not going to make top 8. You know, we're still building, we're still learning as a squad, right? So mistakes are going to happen. Right? But yeah, that's my rant, I guess, my rant review of the Bulldogs Broncos game. I'm hoping a bit later to do just like a weekly roundup of all the other games as well. Again, I wanted to do this last week, but just because of work and just other personal commitments that were going on, I genuinely just did not have the time. But, you know, now I've got a bit more free time now that, like, sort of, like, you know, I've moved rooms and stuff like that in my house and all this sort of stuff, so I've been doing a lot of stuff, so hopefully now I can get a bit more freedom and a bit more of a chance to do that sort of stuff. Alright, so hopefully that'll be out soon. You know, I'm going to probably edit this today and it should be up this afternoon, hopefully. Also today, you know, I finally was able to go down to the fields, do some goal kicking, so, you know, we'll have some goal kicking videos coming out in the next couple of days, hopefully. And I'll edit a few of those after work the next couple of days and stuff like that and get them up. But yeah, you know, let me know if you're a Bulldogs fan. Let me know what you thought of the Broncos game. Let me know what you thought of the Cowboys game as well, because obviously I missed that last week. And yeah, if you're interested to see me do these weekly, let me know. Like, you know, leave a comment saying like, yeah, I'd love to see this. You know, if you want me to do weekly roundups, you know, leave a comment saying, yeah, you'd love to just like hear my opinion and stuff like that. You know, just if you want to talk about the league, you know, I'm happy to do it. But yeah, with that one, guys, yeah, that'll do it. And yeah, take it easy, guys.